what made you step forward and take that risk to be an entrepreneur? And perhaps to advise also our audience, like when should they step forward?
Wow. I became a salaried employee after I left. I was from the Faculty of Arts. So I actually worked for quite a number of years before I started my own business. So what was the question actually?
A lot of our youth,
yeah.
They do not want to venture into entrepreneurship because they are worried about investments.
Okay. Yeah. For myself, in F&B, when you start up, you need a certain amount of capital. So the number of years that I worked helped because I saved, and all the savings went into the startup capital. So before you start, well, in my case, I needed some money. And also, I needed to be very sure that the idea that I had was going to work. So I talked to a lot of people and asked around. And then I took 4 months to teach myself how to make ice cream. And we tested it on people and made sure it worked before I actually launched the project. The other thing I did was that I married a wife. My wife is sitting there. And she agreed to take care of the family expenses while I started the business. So for about a year and a half, I actually did not draw a salary. It was quite tough. So my wife supported the family. But her deal with me was that if the business succeeds, she will stop working and become a tai-tai. So her deal has paid off. She has stopped work. So that was how, in my context, I solved the investment issue. Yeah, it's quite a unique solution, so I'm not sure whether you can do the same thing or not.
What was your experience?
I don't need to sound very old, but it seems to be a long time ago. I'm just trying to figure out. I graduated from abroad. I came back. As I said, I knew that I didn't really want to work for anybody. So what I did was I entered the real estate market at the time as a real estate agent. That was a time, as I say again, market was good. I say maybe I can go in. After graduating, you could be quite clueless unless you're in. There's something already like you're studying medicine or engineering, or some of your the glamorous banking careers. That's great. But for people who graduated from from social sciences and the rest, it's a bit harder unless you know what you need or you want. So when I graduated, I came back. I did real estate agency work because I was clueless at the time. I'll be very frank, I was clueless. My father says, I didn't send you abroad, spend a few $100,000 for you to come back and do this. I said, never mind, I tell you what, let me try it out for 6 months. Let me feel the ground. All right? So that's how I got his blessings. I went into it, and lo and behold, it was interesting. I made this doesn't happen now, but in 1997, I made $500,000 in 3 months. I know it. My dad says I'm a medical doctor. I studied to school. I work like crazy, and I don't make that kind of money in 3 months. But I'm not going to give the gap. Not knowing what I'm talking about, I managed to convince people to buy stuff, do whatever. Do whatever you want to do with me. That's how I started. But that was the beginning. I realized that, okay, fine, if I were to work for people, I may not be able to get this income. But I have a caution statement for all of you here. Having done this for 15 years, having started up maybe 8 companies, not very big, but turnaround-wise, we talk about the millions, yeah? Just a bit of background. I've done from Kalangu. Yes, I have a factory in Malaysia, in JB, that does plastic recycling. I own restaurants. I've got design and build, because that one is a unique case. Someone comes knocking on my door. I saw your house, it was featured. I get people coming and says, who did your house for you? All right, and I said, I'm the one that did it. So they said, why don't you can you help me design and build my house? I said, give me 2 weeks, let me think about it. But actually the 2 weeks was, let me quickly go register a company first. And that's what I did. In a year and a half, maybe because we've been in business long enough, we know what needs to be done, how to get things right. You know, I would say it's not too bad. First year we did about maybe 20 million. All right. So some of your advice I would just say is this: you got to know why you're doing this. Is it because you want to be an entrepreneur? Is it in your blood? Or is it glamorous to you, right? Versus going to work for someone else? Because you can always acquire a lot of knowledge by working for other people. Okay? And then, of course, the flip side is, before you get married and settle down, you don't have that kind of overhead. It's a lot easier. Different people have different approaches. For me, I went in a good time, $500,000. I use that as a base to do whatever I want to. Right? So you really got to know. So as I say again, different businesses, we've got IT companies, we're doing cloud computing. So what I realized over the years, as I saw one question, with a lot of giants in the market, how do you fight that? Should I go out? My question to you is your idea that good that you can reinvent the wheel and change it differently, that you will be able to survive? Because yes, the market is very competitive. So you got to know what you want. And the main thing is bringing that idea. Is it good enough to make you stand out from the rest? And for the business sector, for us, it's cost savings. How do you help someone save money? And how do you help someone be more productive by using your services? You see, that's why we've gone into cloud. While people are starting to talk about cloud, we've really developed the application, and we were one of two that were invited to tender for G Cloud, the governance cloud. Of course, you had to work it with someone else, but the technology is from outside. You see, so you've got to know the intellectual property that you hold. If I keep on building houses, I will always compete with other builders who can go cheaper. But why is it people still will come to us? Because of the intellectual property, the design element, and taking on things like BIM, all right, that other people don't have. And that makes me a better proposition to customers. All right, ice cream is perfect. He's an alcoholic. I want to go visit him even though I don't drink alcohol. But I'll buy and give it as a corporate gift. So it's how you start. I started by chance. I never worked for anybody before. And that's where the stress is also. Trying to feed a lot of people at the same time who are hired under the company.